Welcome to the Sewer Wealth Podcast, where we bring you the timeless wisdom of the world's greatest business and wealth-building books. In each episode, we break down proven strategies from legendary minds, so you can apply them to your own journey toward financial freedom and success. So, get ready to unlock the secrets of success, one book at a time.
All right, so we're back for another deep dive. And last time we were really getting into it with James Allen's As a Man Thinketh. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that really stuck with me was just how much power our thoughts have. Like you think about something enough, and it really does start to shape your reality.
Yeah.
Especially when you're, trying to build a life that actually means something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's so interesting about Alan's work is that it's not just about manifesting a fancy car or whatever. It's about cultivating a real sense of inner wealth. And that includes, of course, our physical well-being.
Right. It's like, what's the point of having all the money in the world if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it?
Exactly. And that's actually where we're heading today. We're continuing our deep dive into As a Man Thinketh, but this time we're going to be zeroing in on the mind-body connection. How our thoughts, the good, the bad, and the ugly, can actually have a real impact on our physical health.
Okay, so let's get into it. One of the things that really jumped out at me when I was rereading the book was this idea that our body is almost like a servant to the mind. It's constantly responding to what we're thinking, even if we're not consciously aware of it.
That's a great point. Alan actually uses the word obeys. He says the body obeys the operations of the mind. Whether we're choosing those thoughts deliberately or they're just kind of running on autopilot in the background, it's like our body is always listening, always reacting.
And what's kind of scary, but also really fascinating, is how he contrasts those two states. He talks about how if your mind is full of what he calls unlawful thoughts, basically all that negativity and worry and self-doubt, well, he suggests that your body actually starts to break down. He uses the words disease and decay. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that Alan was writing over 100 years ago, so some of his language might sound a little outdated, but the underlying principle is something that's being backed up by more and more scientific research today. The way that chronic stress, which is often fueled by these negative thought patterns, can impact our physical health, our hormones, our immune system. Everything is connected.
Right. And then he flips it, right? He talks about how if you're constantly filling your mind with glad and beautiful thoughts, your body can become this reflection of that inner state. It's like you're literally radiating health and vitality.
Absolutely. We all know how good it feels physically when we're genuinely happy and content. There's a lightness, a sense of energy. Alan is suggesting that consistently cultivating these positive mental states can actually have a lasting positive impact on our physical form.
Which leads us to this idea that our health, whether we're talking about being sick or it's not just some random thing that happens to us. It's actually deeply rooted in our thoughts.
Exactly. And this is where Alan gets really radical. He flat out states that sickly thoughts will express themselves through a sickly body. It's like what's going on inside of us is going to manifest outwardly in some way.
And he doesn't shy away from the power of this connection either. He's got this one line that's really stuck with me. Thoughts of fear have been known to kill a man as speedily as a bullet, and they are continually killing thousands of people just as surely, though less rapidly. Wow, talk about a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's powerful. He's acknowledging both the immediate and the long-term impact of fear, the way that a sudden, intense fear can trigger a huge physical response in our bodies, but also how these more subtle, nagging fears that we carry around with us can wear us down over time.
And he's got this other quote about anxiety where he says it quickly demoralizes the whole body and lays it open to the entrance of disease. It's like our mental defenses are weakened, and then our physical defenses become more vulnerable too.
Exactly. Chronic anxiety keeps our body in this constant state of high alert fight or flight mode. And that takes a huge toll on our system over time. It can suppress our immune system, mess with our sleep, all sorts of things.
And get this, it's not just the thoughts that we act on that have an effect. Alan says even the ones we just kind of, let fester inside us can do damage. He talks about how impure thoughts, even if not physically indulged, will soon shatter the nervous system. It's like we're literally poisoning ourselves from the inside out with those negative thought patterns.
I think what he's getting at here is the impact of rumination. When we just keep replaying those negative thoughts and feelings over and over in our minds, it creates this internal conflict, this tension that our nervous system has to deal with constantly.
Right. Okay, so we've looked at the downside, but let's talk about the flip side of this, the power of positive thoughts. Alan says, strong, pure, and happy thoughts build up the body in vigor and grace. It's like a recipe for good health right there.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the absence of those negative effects, but the active building up of strength and vitality. Like we're nourishing our body with positive mental energy.
He actually describes the body as this delicate and plastic instrument, which responds readily to the thoughts by which it is impressed. It's like we're constantly shaping our physical selves with our mental habits.
That's such a great analogy. It reminds me of how a sculptor shapes clay. The more positive and harmonious our thoughts are, the more harmonious our physical state tends to be. And of course, the reverse is true as well.
Right. He says, habits of thought will produce their own effects, good or bad, upon it. So it's not just about having a good thought here and there. It's about creating a consistent pattern of positive thinking.
Which brings us to this really interesting concept of inner purity.
Yeah.
Alan was very much a man of his time, and some of his language might not resonate with everyone today. But what he's getting at is this idea that our inner thoughts are directly connected to our physical well-being.
Yeah, he's got that one line where he says, men will continue to have impure and poisoned blood so long as they propagate unclean thoughts. And then he goes on to say, out of a clean heart comes a clean life and a clean body. Out of a defiled mind proceeds a defiled life and a corrupt body. Like, it's pretty intense imagery, but I get what he's saying.
Yeah, he's emphasizing this deep connection between our inner world and our outer world, and the foundational nature of our thoughts. He even says, thought is the fount of action, life, and manifestation. Make the fountain pure, and all will be pure. It's like, if we can get our thinking right, everything else will follow.
Okay, so if thought is the root of everything, then what about all the external stuff? Like diet and exercise. I mean, those are important too, right?
Absolutely. But what Alan is saying is that if we're not addressing the underlying thought patterns, those external fixes are only going to go so far. He literally says, change of diet will not help a man who will not change his thoughts.
Yeah, I love that line. It's like, sure, you can eat all the kale in the world, but if you're still stressed out and negative all the time, it's not going to magically make you healthy.
Right. And on the flip side, he says, when a man makes his thoughts pure, he no longer desires impure food. Clean thoughts make clean habits. So it's like if you can shift your inner state, the outer changes will naturally follow.
So what about all the, woo-woo stuff? Like, does Alan think we should just ignore our physical bodies and focus only on our thoughts?
Well, he actually addresses this directly. He says, the so-called saint who does not wash his body is not a saint. So he's not advocating for neglecting our physical needs.
But then he goes on to say, he who has strengthened and purified his thoughts does not need to consider the malevolent microbe.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's suggesting that a strong and healthy inner state can actually make us more resilient to external threats.
Exactly. And he gives us this really clear piece of advice. If you would protect your body, guard your mind, if you would renew your body, beautify your mind. It's all about recognizing the power of our mental well-being in shaping our physical health.
And he gets super specific about how different emotions can actually show up in our physical appearance. He says thoughts of malice, envy, disappointment, despondency rob the body of its health and grace. A sour face does not come by chance. It is made by sour thoughts. Wrinkles that mar are drawn by folly, passion, and pride. Like, it's almost like our inner turmoil is literally etching itself onto our faces.
Right. And I love how he uses those vivid descriptions like rob the body, sour face, wrinkles that mar. It really brings home the interconnectedness of it all.
He even gives these examples of like a 96-year-old woman who has this bright, innocent face because of her sweet and sunny disposition compared to a younger man who looks much older because of his passion and discontent. It's like, we all know people like that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it speaks to how our dominant thought patterns and emotional tendencies can literally become visible over time. It's fascinating.
Then he's got this whole thing about how you can actually tell a person's story by looking at the wrinkles on their face. He mentions wrinkles made by sympathy, others by strong and pure thought, and others carved by passion. Like, you can actually read their life experiences in their physical appearance.
Right. And it's not just about the negative stuff either. He talks about how the righteous age gracefully and how this one philosopher on his deathbed, despite his many years, looks so peaceful because of how he lived his life. It's like that inner peace translates to a more harmonious outer experience, even in old age.
And when it comes to healing, he's got this amazing line. There is no physician like cheerful thought for dissipating the ills of the body. There is no comforter to compare with goodwill for dispersing the shadows of grief and sorrow. It's like he's prescribing a dose of positivity for whatever ails you.
Absolutely. It's not about denying the reality of illness or pain, but about recognizing the power of a positive mindset to support our healing and resilience.
Okay, so we're wrapping up here. But I want to leave everyone with one final thought from Alan that really hit me hard. He says, to live in thoughts of ill will, cynicism, suspicion, and envy is to be confined in a self-made prison hole. Like, that's so powerful. It's our own negativity that's trapping us.
And the antidote, as he puts it, is to think well of all, to be cheerful with all, to patiently learn to find the good in all. Such unselfish thoughts are the very portals of heaven. And to dwell day by day in thoughts of peace toward every creature will bring abounding peace to their possessor. It's like a roadmap to liberation, both internal and external.
So to sum it all up for you, As a Man Thinketh is a powerful reminder that our thoughts have a profound and direct influence on our physical health. It's not just about what we eat or how much we exercise. It's about cultivating a positive and harmonious inner landscape that supports our overall well-being. And that's a key part of building that real wealth we've been talking about.
And that's not all. In our next deep dive, we're going even deeper into this idea of how our thoughts shape our lives. We're going to be focusing on thought and purpose, exploring how our directed thinking can actually influence our actions and ultimately shape our destiny. So make sure you tune in for that one. It's going to be good.
Until next time, bye.